Medianoche.
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 Podcast.
Medianoche.
Podcast.
Medianoche.
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 Podcast.
Yeah. We're back again. Hello. What's up, y'all? Your mic sound good, Junk?
Yo. Yeah, I'm good.
Alright.
Chilling.
And we're back one more time with the rhymes. Nah, I'm just playing. Anyway, what's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to the Medianoche podcast. This is episode 9. I'm here with a homie that's an OG in Miami, man. If you are into the graffiti scene, if you're into tattoos, you probably know who I'm talking about. I got Junk here. What's up, Junk?
What up?
You doing all right, man?
I'm good, man. Lovely thing you're doing here, man. Real happy to be here.
Thanks, man.
Feeling real good.
I appreciate that, bro. Thanks for coming through. I know that you're busy. I be seeing you on the gram. You just stay cranking out these tattoos, and doing these like portraits of like all the legends. Like the one that you did from Biggie, that was incredible, bro.
Yeah, man. That's one of my most famous pieces, man. Really happy about that one.
So if you're in Miami and you want to get a tattoo, you go to and you're in Hialeah,
yeah,
right?
Hialeah, Junkyard Studios.
Yeah. How many years has that been open now?
We've been fortunate to be open 8 years now, man. Wow. Bro, time flies, bro. I mean, I look at you and I'm like, yo, time flies.
Yeah,
so that's wild, man.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want to go as far as to say, like, oh, we're getting old. I don't feel like I'm old at all. You know?
Hey, man, age is just, it's what you make it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, I think the mentality that you have is more important than anything. It keeps you young. Surround yourself with young people, keeps your mind fresh, so
yeah, for sure.
We are getting older in age though, but
I remember when you opened the tattoo shop, man. Yeah, I remember that. Bro, like you did my tattoo, the only tattoo that I have. Like I have this song that I haven't released yet where I shout you out. I go speaking of Junk, he did the tattoo on my left arm. I have a little line where I shout you out,
That's what's up.
Like y'all be on the lookout for that whenever it is I do come out with that track. But like I remember like first bringing this idea for this tattoo up to you when we were at this one hip hop show. You was there with some heads from FDC, Mm-hmm. So like FDC, is it from Dade County or is it Few Distinctly Chosen? Which one is it?
Few Distinct Chosen from Dade County. Like it's what we do. Represents us.
Do you ever like tell stories of those times that you went bombing with the people like up and downtown? Because like I remember one time I wanted to like feel like I was better at actually doing throw ups than I was, bro. But like the whole graffiti culture is so like discreet,
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, we don't want to, like let the work speak for itself, But like that was a hell of an experience, bro. To like I've only seen graffiti like in documentaries,
right?
Do you remember the website streetcrimes.com?
Art Crimes.
Art Crimes is what it was.
Art Crimes, yeah.
Like how, if you had a color printer, you was, if you had a color printer, right? Like,
yeah, bro.
You could be like on some, like, yo, check this one out. I remember I had a bunch of pieces from like Ewok and just random ones. I would like scroll down and be like, that was cool, print. That was cool, print. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, it's a different time for graffiti, I honestly, as far as telling stories and stuff, I do meet a lot of younger graffiti writers and, they talk to me and, things like that. And one of the main things that I tell them is that I honestly feel sorry for them. I really do feel sorry for present day generations of graffiti artists or just hip hop culture in general. Mostly because you have to, now everything is kind of just handed to them.
And what do you mean?
In the sense that we didn't grow up, especially my crew, we didn't grow up with the internet like that, So it's funny that you mentioned Art Crimes. That was like the only graffiti website out when we first started doing graffiti. Nowadays, it's a little different. Now, you have everything at the palm of your hand, So if, let's say, an average, let's say 15, 16-year-old kid wanted to start doing graffiti, they just okay, let's just go get some graffiti supplies, or let's just order them off of fucking Amazon. You know, like you like that. You could get Crink on Amazon. You could get all these like homemade mops that we had to figure out recipes for and shit like that. Like they don't have that. And in my opinion, that was part of the love. You know, it was part of the like, for example, like only cats my age or you know, our age here would know that you went to get Rusto fat caps off of Elmer's glue cans. And you had to go to certain places that had Elmer's spray glue, get them, pop them off, get the tips, steal the tips. You know, you had to go to this place to get the Rustos, this place to get the Krylons.
It was like a scavenger hunt.
It was a scavenger hunt, which made every piece that you dropped that much more valuable. It made it special, you know? So it was very different, you know? Also, just like if you wanted to get into really good underground hip hop or find out about the latest, you know, dope MC coming up, where did we go? Where did we meet? Hip hop jams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now it's like that social interaction, that underground culture, which to me was very, very special. You know, it molded me. That doesn't really
like
come
now
about no more.
now everything's so much more accessible. It's not special anymore.
Exactly. So that's why I tell the, you know, the younger generation of graffiti artists, like, man, I feel bad for you guys because I really, really, really enjoyed doing all those things. There was nothing like finding that tip or let's say dropping that sketch that, you know, you had to go find your spot. You know, like there were no forums that would tell you, hey, come over here and do this or come check this out. Or even, you know, something as simple as like photo appreciation. You know, I read somewhere now that your average moment lasts about 3 seconds, you know. And it's due to like social media. Because what do? Scroll, look, 3 seconds. Scroll, look, 3 seconds. Scroll, look. Now, in the graffiti world, we had flick books. So what happens is you would go out and let's say if I wanted to find, you know, my homie's new piece, you know, like if I didn't know him, it'd be like, okay, let me go to the latest abandoned spots or let me go find the new spot that nobody knows about. Sometimes I'd run up in spots that were abandoned, track sides, whatever. And there'd be like one writer in there. And I'm like, okay, this is, you know, unmarked territory. This is this dude's spot. I'm going to come in here and paint it. And nobody else knows about it.
Yeah.
So it's safe, you know?
Yeah.
So those scavenger hunts, going into like the rugged neighborhoods of Miami and just being around that environment, that doesn't exist much anymore. You
Right.
know?
Well, and that's what made it so special, man. Like, or like being able to do something in someone's black book.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you got a page and they'll flip and you'll see all these, as he's flipping through the black book, you see all these, you get a glimpse of all these crazy pieces, you know? And then if you get lucky enough to have a little page or even a half page, it was just so special. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I actually like that actually touches home, man, because last year, like mid last year sometime, my back neighbors, they have like a tiki hut and it caught fire. That fire spread so large that it caught onto my shed in my backyard.
Yeah, I saw the
right?
videos when you posted it. That's
Yo,
crazy.
And the sorry part is that I managed to save a bunch of paint, a bunch of, you know, my flick books, you know, I saved them, thank God. But the one thing that I did lose, the firemen came in and they hosed everything down and I lost all my black books.
Damn.
And I had black books. And the physical black book I had, but once I opened them up, all the ink was just smeared. You
Wow.
know? So I'm talking about I had black books that date back to 1997.
Damn.
And me, like I consider myself, you know, big into like the Miami graffiti history. And I lost such a big chunk of graffiti history there. And that's what, I didn't care about anything else in there. It just had me destroyed, man.
Man, I'm really sorry. For real, bro. That's insane. That's like losing Nas's rhyme book that you happen to have. You know? Damn, that's wild, bro. Fuck, bro. You know, man, like, I remember I used to go, I was in high school, and I remember I used to hit you up and be like, yo, let me come through. I don't know if you remember. I hold on to these memories, you know? And I will come through, and y'all had, like, this little, like, common area. I don't know if it was your crib or someone else's, but everyone was just there training, like, with the papers, like, practicing these little pieces that maybe they plan on doing on a canvas later. And, like, I would be like, yo, what do you think of this, Junk? And you'll be like, it's cool, you know, like maybe work on the R a little bit.
Yeah.
Like this line is not as, it should be as equal thickness as these lines here. Like and I remember being like, wow, this is, even then I was like, this is golden information. Like I looked up, like you guys are, man, I fell in love with hip hop so hard that graffiti being one of the elements, and I think of Miami graffiti, Junk, you know, and I'll be like, okay,
I
yo,
appreciate that, man.
and then being like, yo, Junk, like, what do you think? And it's like this like towering look, like, you know, it's like the eye in Lord of the Rings, like focusing on the black book, like, you know.
That's wild.
So then when I wanted to get my my tattoo, and like you had just, it's crazy. I feel like tattooing is like the natural progression for graffiti artists, you know, like when they want to make like when they want to like make a legal business out of their craft,
Yeah.
and do something that's long lasting, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of graffiti writers go to that, man, for some reason. I think it's because it's just so free, you know, like just like, you know, the graffiti art form. It's very free. It's very it gives you a lot of time to just create, you know, on your own craft, whether it be tattooing or painting or doing graffiti or whatever. You have time for everything, so it works out great.
Do you find it kind of difficult to do cover ups?
No.
No,
Not
okay.
really.
I might need to holler at you, not because of the one you did, but because I had my best friend from fifth grade. Like he added to it. He kind of like, let me show you. Like, well, I mean, it's probably better I show you when we're done. But he put the baby in like a pod, right? And the pod, I like what he did here. But on my shoulder, he did like an attempt of like biomechanical piecing,
Okay.
and I wasn't crazy about how it came out.
Well, maybe we could just fix it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'll be cool,
Detail it,
man.
You know, that way you don't have to get into a big cover up. But yeah, we could do that, man. No doubt.
Man, that'll be tight, bro. Like I remember you took out a Sharpie and you freehanded the baby.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, this dude is like, you know, for a while I was a little scared. I'm like, you didn't practice this before, bro? And you're like, don't worry about it, I'm straight. And I remember being like, what if I get really muscular? And you're like, don't worry, you're straight. You know,
Bro, it's crazy. A lot of people tell me that. Like now that like obviously I've been doing this for 15 years now, tattooing, and I still just keep a stack of Sharpies there, and I just go in. And people are like, "Yo, are you sure?" And I'm like, "Dude, just like that, just chill out.
Wow.
I got this."
yeah, that's wild, man.
Oh man, no, but I really do appreciate the trust that everybody, you know, gives me, and you know, I appreciate, you know, all my clients that, you know, throughout all the years that have just, you know, given me their body parts, and I'm a very grateful person, you know, I'm a very humble person, and very, very appreciative of everyone in my life, and even this moment right now, you know what I mean, like, I still go around saying, you know, I ain't shit, you know what I mean, regardless of what I've done or what people think of me or don't think of me, I ain't shit, and I'm just here sitting on this chair having a conversation with you, you know, and it's a privilege, it's an honor to be here speaking with you because you picked me, you know what I mean, to be here,
Yeah.
and I thank you for that because it's great, you know.
Word, man. I'm still working on getting actual Maybe I Noches is here. You know what I'm saying? So everyone can kind of have one. I'm trying to persuade. I want to build this up so I can pitch it to Latin Cafe and be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? This is kind of a thing, you know? Like,
Yeah, bro.
so that'll be
sure.
kind of tight. Do you remember, like, back, you were saying about how much more special it was to acquire, like, to be put in the loop of, like, underground, like, okay, graffiti crafts and all that. Like, y'all were the ones, you, Minus, you know, a couple other heads I can't think off the top of my head, like, would be like, yeah, that Tupac and all that shit, that's dope. But do you know about Aesop?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, what is that? And then like y'all put me onto that.
Copyright, Aesop Rock, Cage.
Copyright. Fuck, copyright,
Who else?
man.
Man, there were so many.
The
back then-
Demigods.
Ill Bill, Nonfiction.
Yep.
So many of them, bro.
It's a little weird now seeing them so present in social media. Like I saw Copyright in a battle with King of the Dot like some time ago, and I'm like, what is he doing? Like, not that it's bad that he's battling, but like, why isn't he touring his music? I remember he had the ill, like, yo, Copyright was nasty.
Yo,
you
he
know?
was like Punchline King. That guy was dope.
He was, man. You know, like, it's just funny, bro. Like I imagine that when people get older, bro, they learn to love what they do much more than just trying to make money from it. Where like,
You know, I respect that though. I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's why I really admire musicians or just artists alike that, you know, they don't necessarily, like to me, for example, I'm just a normal dude, you know what I'm saying? But in my opinion, I've made it so far just because I do what I do and I make an honest, decent living out of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's great. It's great because I've always said if you aren't willing to do your craft for free, then you probably just don't love it, you know? Like if I had a regular 9 to 5, just like I had before, I was still doing art every day.
Right.
I was still going out at night painting graffiti. So nothing has really changed. You know what I'm saying? I'm still doing my thing, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, much like a lot of, you know, musicians I know and things like they work regular jobs and they come home and they write their rhymes or they do their thing or they play their guitar or, you know, whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I respect that a lot. That's love, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, or these athletes, like they'll be like, man, even if I wasn't getting paid for this, like I'll still be playing ball on the court. It's just that's how you know that they really love it, you know?
Exactly.
I remember it was a big look for you when you got like that, when you were able to do that Udonis Haslam.
Oh, the tattoo?
Yeah, the tattoo. That was tight.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, man. That was a real big thing for me because that was actually when I first met Udonis, and it was a real hard time in his life. He had just lost his mom. So his people contacted me. You know, I do portraits, and he wanted me to do a portrait of his mom. Dude, when your mom just passed away, you know what I'm saying? That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's heavy.
It's heavy, and I'm talking about. I remember the first time I met him. That dude, like, he wouldn't say a word to me. He's just so overwhelming. You know, I've always said that Udonis is like just his presence. It's kind of like a giant. You know what I'm saying? Like Udonis, the giant, you know, and it's like,
yeah, for sure.
He's in his castle and he's this big dude and he just, you know, walks around. And I don't know, the first time I met him, he was just so intimidating.
I bet.
He's really cool though. That's my homie, you know, but it was rough for him, you know, and like, I'm glad that he was just so grateful for it. To this day, it's still one of his most special tattoos, you know.
Let me ask you something. What would you mind giving me your 2 cents on like what you think about like how Miami hip hop is now in comparison to how it was back when, you know, they were throwing all those jams and all that? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Miami hip hop, man, to be honest with you, I honestly don't know. I really don't know, just because I've seen a real big separation, but just like I've seen it in hip hop in general, you know, if you date back 20 years ago or something like that, when we're going to these jams and all that, like Breaker's Dozen, who could roast the most, all these jams, you're talking about filling a room with teenagers that all had one same love, and it was for general hip hop. You had the b-boys dancing, the MCs were doing their thing, writers had the writer's bench, all the black books were flowing, the painting was, you know, it was all going on, but everybody was interacting. Like, I was a b-boy as well. So it's like, well, when I wasn't, you know, painting or hitting black books, I was out there on the dance floor breaking, you know? And then 5 minutes later, I got tired of breaking. I go to the MC ciphers and listen to you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And everybody else that was there jumping in, you know, so it was really dope. You know, I always tell people, even Recognize, you know. I remember seeing Recognize battle, you know, or him just young as fuck, just jumping in the ciphers and all that.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I'm real proud of him, see where he's at, you know, good thing for him. So now the difference is that the biggest change that I've seen, that there's no unity amongst that, because I think just hip hop in general has changed.
And also, I feel like people grew up and they get like, yo, I got bills to pay now, bro. I can't make it out to this jam. And that happened to everyone, you know?
Oh, but that's normal. But I'm talking about as far as like the younger crowd. Music has changed.
Oh,
like now you're talking about like, no 16-year-old kid wants to be a b-boy, you know? Like, that's like such a small demeanor, you know what I mean? It's a small crowd. Nobody wants to be a b-boy anymore, or like even less. Like, you tell somebody, I'm sure you get this a lot, you know what I mean? You hear about it. Ask a 17-year-old kid what an MC is, and he's gonna tell you it's a little pump. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
yeah,
it's different.
It's just different for sure. I feel like Catalyst was the last like really mecca, you know, home base for like just authentic or traditional hip hop, you know. And that's why, like, man, like I feel like Joel Stegale, bro, he really made it like a point to be like, yo, like we can't lose sight of this, you know. And like, you know, when you think about like, which, by the way, rest in peace, Joel Stegale,
Definitely,
man, you know. Which, when you think about it, like you think about hip hop, okay, so graffiti, like the 4 elements, I feel like if you break down like the human experience, it goes down to these certain categories, you know, like graffiti is like you're stimulating that part of your brain of like visually, you know, like the colors, lines, shades, right? And then also like breakdancing is physical. It's like the exercise, you know?
Yeah.
And then the
Sport.
rhythm, you know? And then the MCs is the linguistics, you know, the to be able to articulate yourself a certain way and to think fast, because like once you finish spitting your 4 bars and it gets passed to me, I have to pick up
yeah.
right there, you know. And then DJing, you got to think about how like you're looking at this like circle, you know, this like record, and it's spinning and there's no indicators on it as it spins, but you have to somehow be able to like catch it and pull it back subtle enough. It's just this whole like you
Everything is so technical.
yeah, you develop the capabilities of the human body and mind with hip hop, you know. And whereas now I just feel like it's so absent, and you're starting to see how it's starting to take a toll on the way that people carry themselves today as how it was maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago. There was a camaraderie back then too, and now I just kind of I don't really see that much anymore, you know.
I agree 100%.
And social media too, like people are just kind of like
Excuse me.
it's all good. Social media, like people are they're connected, but they're not at the same time, you know. You brought up like Recognize, like that song that they have, Technology, that I spit a verse on for my first mixtape. You know, I battled Rec. That was my first battle.
Oh my God.
You know?
What a first battle. Like I was a monster.
Yeah, I beat the first guy in the first round, and then the second round they're like, all right, I was Descendant back then. I was
I
like,
remember
yo,
that.
let me get Descendant and let me get Recognize. And yo, I remember I just hung my head like, oh fuck, here I go, you know? And like I stood up, and Recognize was so tall, you know, and Minus was like, because I would just cipher at school with a Minus and whatever, like the people in Miami Lakes, and then he'll be like, you know, do you remember how Parable had these VHSs of all the battles?
Yeah.
And it'll get circulated, and I'll watch like this like mad like pixelated like battle of like Jin and Potential and Parable, and all these H2O was still doing this thing.
Dude,
And
you remember damn, what was his name? The dude in the wheelchair?
Disable.
Yes.
I gave him that name. You know that?
Really?
He went to my high school. Yeah,
No way.
I saw him like a couple years ago before I had to turn myself in. I saw him. He was still selling M&Ms outside of Walmart, and he got a tattoo of the handicap sign on his arm. And he was like trying to tell me like, yo, I want to be able to rap, but I don't know what my name should be. And we would battle, and I'll be like, why don't you call yourself Disable? Because you're able to diss. And he's like, I like it. And he just ran with it. You know,
I remember like, I gave him so much props. He has so much heart, and he would actually do his thing. You know, he would do his thing.
Yeah.
But
man.
I remember one time, Parable had like no mercy with this guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I remember, it was nothing that you wanted to laugh, but you felt so bad. Like, I remember one time he told him some shit about like his biggest fear is like a flight of stairs or some shit like that. And I was like, no, why? Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my
Hey,
God!
Parable was ruthless, man.
He was ruthless.
But Disable, like he had a good attitude, you know,
Yeah.
which was something that was like it's an admirable trait that he always had. Like, yeah, he's in a wheelchair, but don't get it twisted. Like, don't put that as a handicap against him. You know, like I remember like the last when I stopped being like a battle rapper and I wanted to pursue music. Like a year and a half later, FIU had this big battle, you know. And then my man Jesse was like, yo, why don't you sign up last minute? And I was like, I'm not, come on, man. I'm probably rusty. I'm probably rusty, bro. Like, I don't even know if I want to sign up. Man, come on, just sign up, whatever. Who cares? So I was like, fuck it. And I go to FIU, and like, I end up winning it, you know?
Oh, wow.
It was sponsored by Vitamin Water, but I left the Vitamin Waters there. For some reason, I thought it was going to pop up in my crib later. I just left them there, you know? But the guy that I battled in the finals was another guy that he kind of had, like, you can tell he was a little bit, like, maybe he had like slight Down syndrome or something, whatever it was. He was spitting, but you can kind of tell that he wasn't all there. Yeah, pobrecito, you know?
Yeah.
But whatever, like I remember at the end, like in the finals, like what he was saying to me was just like pretty lackluster, but everyone was giving him that pity cheer, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just doing my shit. And at the end, they were like, we gotta see who won. And I was looking at the judges like, for real? Like, come on, man. Like, and I felt like kind of a dick doing that, but I mean, like, I don't give a fuck, man. I wanted to win, you know?
Of course. But that's emceeing, though. That's the way it works. You know what I mean? You had to... I mean, I've seen people get their feelings really hurt, man.
Yeah.
Like really hurt.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. I remember like some years ago. Do you remember like there was that water tower in Hialeah
Yeah.
that got hit up by, I think it was Runs and Dibs,
Yeah, runs and dips, yeah. I was with them that night.
allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah. Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man. Like, bro,
I remember that.
man, I feel like Miami hip hop had a lot of really cool moments, man. Like there's that store in Wynwood right now, 004 Connect is a cool little spot.
Yeah.
You know, I remember for a while, like some years ago, I got like a piece of like thick paper and I cut out like the 12 a.m. logo, like the 12 a.m. like from the digital clocks.
Right.
And I went up and down Miami and I just spray painted that all over the sidewalks. Like just every sidewalk had it on the lower right hand corner, 12 a.m., 12 a.m., 12 a.m., 12 a.m. And it's just funny how now like in Wynwood it's like a thing, stencils everywhere.
Yeah. Street art has become a thing, man. Like everybody does it, you know. It's cool. It's cool. It's I recently did a radio interview and we spoke on a similar subject where you know, they asked me about what I thought about street art and stuff and the future of it. And it's actually really cool because now like places like that, like 004 or just in general Wynwood, has given access to younger kids that never thought that art would be a certain career, you know?
Yeah.
The struggles that, let's say, that I had to go to trying to convince people that I was gonna make it in art, they don't really have to go to because they have people like me and, you know, my peers as an example. And it's great because they have, you know, it's created a flood of creativity to hit the streets. I'm not gonna lie, I would like to see it outside of Wynwood.
Yeah.
Because Wynwood is Wynwood, you know, and I'm gonna hate just because I live in Miami and, you know, whatever. I want to see, you know, I come from a graffiti background, so like when people got to know who I was, it was like you saw my name from West Palm Beach to South Kendall and Homestead. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's how it was. You know, that's how it should be.
Right.
So for street artists, you know, like it shouldn't just be let me go to Wynwood because I want to get, you know. To me, that's not real. It's not like it's like going to a park and just hey, let me just do it.
Yeah, it's like a designated place.
Yeah,
and
like,
that's
no.
kind of against what graffiti is.
Yeah.
Graffiti is not supposed to be a designated district. It's supposed to
Yeah.
be everywhere. Like, where do you feel like it draws a line between like respectable graffiti and like how some people will just be like, nah, but that's just straight vandalism, you know?
Where do you draw the line? Well, that's very simple actually. Graffiti is illegal. Real graffiti is illegal. That's point blank, you know? And there is no real graffiti is vandalism if it's done illegally. Now, the moment you get into like I barely ever do illegal graffiti now, you know? Here and there when I'm out of town, sure, you know, here and there when my homies hit me up now. Oh, we got an illegal spot. Okay, cool, we'll do it. Remote area, whatever, you know? That's real graffiti. But I think the best way to describe it would be there's the graffiti writer and then there's the graffiti artist. The moment you start doing legal shit, big murals, big beautiful pieces,
Yeah.
it's still in the graffiti genre.
Yeah.
But that's where you have the graffiti writer, which is the writer for writers, you know? The writer that cares what other writers think, that cares what, you know, about being that guy that only does illegal shit, that got the dope tags, you know, here to there, everywhere, throw ups, pieces, trains. That's what you care about. Then you have the graffiti artist. That's, in my opinion, a more grown up, I guess, graffiti writer.
Yeah, like just gone legit.
Yeah,
Like,
somebody that possibly even gets paid for doing pieces, and I'm not even gonna hate on that. That's great. You know, I've gotten paid for writing my name on shit. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
That's wild. It's dope. You know. So again, some people hate on, you know, both sides of the spectrum, but to me, it's like, man, as long as you're happy, just do you.
That's like something I can see something with you going where like people will like refurbish old stuff. And then like let's say like they refurbish your old bike, you know,
Right.
And then you brand your name. It's like junk because it was once junk, but now it's like usable again. And it's
Functional artwork, man.
Yeah, that'll
It's
be tight.
crazy. Like my dude here, I'm telling you, like, dude, he got hired to paint a Ferrari.
Word.
You know, like, and it's like,
Damn, that's wild.
Graffiti on a Ferrari, from the streets, from trains, from tags, to you're painting a Ferrari with your artwork on it. Like, that's the type of shit that I look at and I'm like, whoa, This is
hey,
like things have changed.
hey, what? Did it cross your mind where like he'll walk up and be like, I don't like it. Do it over.
You know, like he picked, his artwork for it, so it's like obviously who's gonna like it, like it's graffiti's changed so much in the past 15 years that it's blown my mind, like I'm talking about I went from getting slammed on, a police car, to sitting at a bar with Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats and they're talking about my artwork.
Wow.
Like that just blows my mind, like how did this happen? At some point, I'm there with like Amara Stoudemire and he's there like critiquing my work in a gallery. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's trippy.
Yeah, how did that? Mind you, Amara Stoudemire is another like giant motherfucker. Like, he's fucking crazy, looking huge, like, and I'm short, so that was weird. But yeah,
man, I feel like because of how much more like popular as it was before, it's even more popular now with like Art Walk. What do you call that convention in Wynwood that happens once a year?
Art Basel,
yeah. Or like, man, like, or even Comic Cons, like all these like conventions and all that. Like they should have like this designated like section where they'll just have graffiti artists exhibit, like just do something right there. This should be something that I feel like should be in every single anything that has to do with actual artwork. Like, man, they should also shine a little spotlight on just graffiti. Like if hip hop culture has become the most popular culture in the world now, rap music, it's.
What do you think about that? Let me ask you. Like as far as like rap music,
yeah.
Like, how do you feel about the changes that have, I consider somebody, from your era, somebody like yourself, I guess you a real, rapper, a lyricist, somebody who genuinely cares about his music. And even when you do the like feel good music, it's like it still has a lot of substance behind it.
Thanks, man.
Like, what do you think about?
I saw it coming, really. I saw it coming from a while ago. Like hip hop music. I mean, like hip hop music, even though it's youth driven, like there's like grown hip hop as well. And I feel like the craft of like rap is like the most gifted form of like wording, of lyricism in all genres of music.
Agreed.
Even though rock music is more like concise with it, because the verses are like, if you write the verse on a paper, it'll take up 2-3 lines, but they stretch the words out over like 30-45 seconds, and it's like, but I feel like, yeah, man, it's expected, bro. Like people have like language is the communication between human beings, so obviously like the words are going to be like a focus point in music, I think. You know how some people say they'll listen to the music but they don't even pay attention to the lyrics? Like, yeah. To me that's like weird. It's like, what do you mean? So you're like ignoring what the person is saying? Like,
well, I've also heard many a times these days that the real stars behind music these days are the producers. Like that the rapper's actually just like an add-on,
That's weird. I don't know. I feel like it's it all matters, No,
I agree, but I'm talking about like today and age, like today's hip hop, I hear a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, like, mind you, like everyone, aces in their places, bro. Like everyone, like the producer is equally as important. Like it doesn't matter how dope the rapper is. If the beat is not good, the song's not going to be good.
Right.
And vice versa. The beat can carry the whack MC, but like, I feel like a dope MC and a dope producer, like for example, it's to me it's still crazy that like Wu-Tang is like wild in China and in Japan. Like those people don't even understand the language, but they can still just go buck wild to the music. It's just this energy, And also like there's more people in the middle class. I agree with that. Like there's more people in the middle class and the lower class than in the, there's more poor people and middle class people than there are rich people, and hip hop music caters to coming up from that, So like it makes sense that like hip hop would rise to that like
stardom,
rags to riches story, And I feel like also like America is like there's an allure behind America, to the rest of the world. And hip hop is music from America. It's like the story of it,
Right.
So like it makes sense, bro. But I mean, with that being said, it's just my gripe right now is that it's like it went from hip hop culture to just rap music, and like everything else was forgotten. Like how you mentioned, no one wants to be a b-boy anymore. To me, that's insane.
Yeah.
And then they'll try to like be like, nah, but what about like the girls twerking and shit? Like, what about? It's like, no, bro, that's not
it's
not
different.
breakdancing.
It's different. Yeah,
You know, that's
So
not breakdancing. That's not, you know.
Now people are more concerned about doing the kiki. You know, dance.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, like, you know, like when I say things like this, I feel like, you ever seen that meme on the internet where like it's this one guy criticizing things and then a mouth goes by the person's ear and it's like, just let people enjoy things, you know?
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel like I'm the guy like.
No, but you know
looking
what?
at
Like
things.
it's good to talk about. It's good to voice it because it's all opinion. Sometimes I sound like that guy that just like criticize. Oh, back in my day, such and such, whatever. But it's good to compare and also like I'm not gonna lie, like I think today's hip hop is very mood music. So I'm not gonna lie to you and say here that I don't listen to any new hip hop. I love hip hop in general.
Yeah, me
you
too.
know? So I listen to everything, a little bit of everything. The things that you probably least expect me to listen to, I'll listen to it. But I got to be in the mood for it. I call it mood music,
Yeah.
you know? But still, I still gravitate because I'm not going to listen to, Mobb Deep album from like 95, you know what I'm saying, for the rest of my life either, you know?
Of course
I like
not.
to see what's out there. I like to see everything, you know?
I actually thought it was kind of cool. Like the MCs that I grew up around, like they didn't even listen to hip hop like that. They'll put on like a skate video and you'll hear like punk music and they'll be like enjoying that. And then when they
Yeah.
want to make music, they'll make a hip hop track. They'll bump like Quasimodo, come on legs, come on run. You know what I'm saying? And this is like, it's just awesome how there are these like, you might make hip hop music, but you might be into punk rock, or you might do graffiti, but you're into like graphic design,
Yeah.
watching people do that. So like,
That's the exact story that I come from right there, man. Exact thing. You know, I used to be into punk. I was a skateboarder, so I come from that culture. And at the same time, I was a b-boy, which kind of like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I did graffiti, and aside from that, musical history. I played 4 instruments, you
Really?
know? Yeah, and I was heavy into jazz music. Played the trumpet, the trombone, the baritone, the French horn. And, so my music selection was like from classical to Spanish jazz, to punk rock. I always loved classic rock,
yeah.
So bluegrass, I love bluegrass, so there was so much. It was a big melting pot of it. So now it's like, even now my kids, I'm trying, like, in fact, today I was in the car taking my son to his grandmother's house, and I was like, Nate, I'm gonna teach you something new, and I started bumping Elvis Presley for him.
Nice.
Loved it. He absolutely loved it. And he's 5 years old, and his favorite music right now, I mean, today he asked me, hey, could you play more of that? More Elvis Presley, But prior to that, his 2 like top artists were Biggie and Childish Gambino. So like,
Wow.
that's for a 5-year-old, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm glad that he's being able to just pick and choose from so many different generations already,
And you're showing him.
Exactly.
And you're showing him. You're not
See,
depriving him of these
But
things.
I feel that that's the responsibility of somebody, of my age. I can't sit here and complain about this generation's music or hip hop or culture or lack of if I'm not doing anything about it. Like, I have yet to teach any young kid graffiti, I haven't done that, but I know that guaranteed the day that I do take somebody under my wing for graffiti, he's going to have a deep appreciation for the old school and know where graffiti comes from.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, let me ask you something, man. Like, I remember years ago, it probably was the same day that I got my tattoo that I had asked you about, like, oh, like, what about like a neck tattoo? And you were like, nah, I actually try to talk people out of it because unless if you're trying to get into that life, like, you might need to get a job and you have the person's best interest in mind where like they might want a neck tattoo, but they're not like, they're like on that corporate blue collar life, and you're like, man, I would strongly recommend that you don't commit
Constantly.
to it. You still do that today?
Constantly. Like, right now it's a big trend to get face tats,
Yeah.
and even me as a tattooer, I'm not gonna lie, I want to get one. Nothing huge. I want to get like a little symbol, but the reason I haven't done it is because I think about my shorties.
Yeah.
Now, people always ask me why, what do you mean? And it's real simple. I'm covered throat down in tattoos. I want to say a good 75-80% of my body's covered already. When I go to my son's school, I always get the looks. I always like, even though it's more accepted, I still get the looks. Like, oh my God, whose parent is that? Whose is that? I don't want my lifestyle to affect my children's upbringing, in the sense that I don't want anybody's, let's say he has a best friend or something like that, but his parents may not be as understanding of the tattoo culture. I don't want them to ever go, oh, we don't want to let little Johnny or whatever go to Junk's house because, Junk looks a certain way. People don't realize it, but face tattoos, they change your whole face. It could be something tiny.
Right.
But the moment you get a face tattoo, you go from just being tattooed to something else, Yeah. Especially depending on the way you carry yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I always put that example, like with myself, like I don't want to do that yet. Maybe when they're older, cool, but I don't want it to affect them. Now, with, people don't think now, people come to my shop and they're like, hey man, I want to get this face tattoo done. And I always tell them either no or sleep on it or, whatever. Because they need to have that understanding that could possibly fuck your life up.
Yeah.
I dead ass had people like, I've had one young kid, he came up to me telling me he wanted to get a tattoo on his hand. Had no tattoos on his arm, just straight up, boom, tattoo on my hand. And I had to talk with him, whatever. He ended up still getting it. Why? His reasoning was because, I'm going to be an R&B singer. So it doesn't matter.
I was gonna ask you, how, do you get like these like young SoundCloud rappers walking in like, yeah, let me get something here, something
all
here.
the time.
Yeah,
all the time. And I have to talk. I talk some of them out of it. Some of them they end up going somewhere else to get it done. And it is what it is. I mean, people don't realize it, but like that's just a trend right now. And you have to think about what you're gonna look like and what you're gonna feel like at 35 years old. And they don't think that way. Another thing is also, for as much as they don't want to get in trouble, they don't realize, a face full of tattoos.
It's not a good mugshot.
Instant profile.
Yeah,
they're
for
gonna
sure.
profile you. So instead of
100%.
being low key, you're just gonna attract a real negative vibe, on you. You're gonna look for it. So,
and also I kind of get this little undertone of like people with face tattoos are almost like embracing the fact that it's almost like they're saying like a regular life didn't work for me. Like I've always been an outcast. I might as well wear it on my face, and it's like, it's funny, man. Like you could be super intelligent, but if you have a bunch of little marks all over your face or whatever, like now you're almost like sabotaging like this
your own life.
Yeah, your own life for sure.
But you know what's crazy? That's something that I explain to the young kids too. Like you could never or should never follow trends, especially in the world of tattooing, because it's permanent. Do not follow trends. That's just like all those dudes right now that are coming to me for cover-ups because they got that cool tribal tattoo 15 years ago when the tribals were hot.
Oh my God, I remember them.
Yeah. Or all the girls that had the little lower back tattoos that they thought were sexy that now are considered tramp stamps.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
don't follow trends. Don't do that. Right now, face tattoos, they're a trend. That's what they are. And, I'm doing it to be different, forgetting the fact that
But it's not different anymore.
everybody's getting them. So you're just like everybody else that's following the first person that did it, So it's like, it just became another trend. And that's all it is.
Word. But I mean, I'm looking over here at your tattoos, man. It seems like you have a couple styles. I remember the one you have right here on your forearm, the left forearm of like the eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like that, like when I see that looks totally like a graffiti mural,
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like this skull right here on your
Very
right.
traditional.
Yeah, it's like more traditional, like a biker kind of, and when I was younger, I gravitated more towards like the graffiti style tattoo. But now I'm starting to gain an appreciation for that like sailor.
Yeah,
like,
traditional. Yeah.
Traditional. I just feel like that looks more like, how baggy clothes and FUBU jeans were like, and Janko jeans were like
Right.
popular in the early 2000s, and now it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whereas like pants that fit you, a white tee and like a leather jacket and like Ray-Bans, it's gonna look good 100 years from now. It's just like this classic, timeless look. And I feel like that sailor, biker approach, it's like that timeless.
That's exactly what it is. That's why they're called traditional tattoos. There's certain styles with tattooing that you just can't go wrong with. And it goes by region. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go wrong with like traditional LA script, that real LA soft black and gray look. Like, that's timeless. It's dope. The chola girls, the real, like, I guess the gangster stuff. Like, you can't go wrong with that. You have like traditional American tattoos, which are forever. I have most of my body covered in that. Most, of those tattoos, they're just bold. They're good. They're great tattoos. Good, clean, and solid. To the point. Simple.
Are all your tattoos like symbolic to something, or do you sometimes just get something for the hell of it?
Well, they are, but not the actual imagery. I don't have let's say like all of these like I don't crave the award-winning tattoo, but I crave the moment. So every single one of my tattoos has been done by somebody who's been close to me, somebody that I've known in the industry, or somebody that has taught me, somebody that has I've just stumbled upon throughout my journey. So every single one has these, I guess, a particular story. It's like they're like timestamps to me. It's like a moment in time.
Right.
There's some tattoos that I look at that I'm like, man, like, wow, I got this when I was like, 22 years old. And it's like, it's totally not me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to ask me right now, would you get this again? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I like it because it makes me remember those times,
And when people ask you to explain the story behind some tattoos, are you like more private about that, or are you just more open? Depends on the person. Like,
I think people expect a real deep meaning behind them, because a lot of people have really deep meaning behind their tattoos, but there's no real like crazy stories, I guess, behind my tattoos. Most of the time, it's just been a good time, a good vibe, a right moment. I just like it.
do you have any favorite graffiti artists that to this day that you're like, man, but this dude right here, like, he's crazy? Like, do you have any like favorite graffiti artists?
There's a lot of modern graffiti artists that are incredible in their own way, that are breaking rules and innovating new styles and all that. But to me, to this day, still, my favorite graffiti writer is classic. It's Bates.
Bates?
Yeah, Bates. I love his work. Just like I like the Cantus. I like the even Scene. I like classic lettering, great colors, solid outlines, and that's just what I like. There's something about it that, like, you could throw a million color blend in one piece with 80 outlines and a 3D that's the size of the Empire State Building, but then you look at that classic, old school, just funk, and it just never gets out of style.
How long does it take you to do a throw up that's like, let's say a throw up that would be like the size, let's say like 6 feet, a 6 foot from left to right, and like like
a throw of just bubbles, just like
like
filled in, or just hollow?
Yeah. Like, you have in, like, 2 colors, like a white fill in and a black outline. How long do you think it takes you to do it?
6 feet. That's not 2 minutes. Yeah, 2-3 minutes.
Oh, that's wild.
That's not big at all.
Damn. Okay. I remember one time I went to go do a throw up, and I had an R. Like, okay, so you have the line that is vertical for the R, and then you have the top loop, and then the diagonal line for the bottom of the R.
Right.
So I did this one throw up, and the word had an R in it, and I'm like, shh, and I like spray it all up, and then when I do the circle on the R and I stand back, and the circle was on the line, the vertical line, not on the loop, and I was like, no fucking way.
Bro, you know what happened to me once? I was before you hit a spot, you get the the butterflies in your stomach. You get a little nervous. Once you're there, you just you rock it, whatever. But I was hitting up a spot off the highway, off of I-95. Big building. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna be an asshole, and I'm just gonna write junk, throw up, hollow, over and over, bam, 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 back to back. Bro, and when I look at the picture, when I got the picture of it, I misspelled it. Because there was so many loops, so much repetition, that I just, instead of writing J-U-N-K, I wrote J-U-U-K. It was the juke. Damn. And I was like, fuck. Right off the highway. I was like, you know how many people saw that shit? How embarrassing that was, bro?
Damn. And do you feel like that's probably like a little self, like in your mind, you're like, damn, you know how many people saw that shit? And they probably did, but how many people knew that it was junk?
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing, too. I think when I was younger, I actually thought that people gave a shit about graffiti.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, I've realized, bro, graffiti writers think they're more important than what they really are. Like, they're not that important. Like, your average Joe does not know shit about graffiti.
Yeah, it's like
They don't even look for it.
It's a underground like subculture. Like unless if you don't know, you're just gonna drive right past it and that's it.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like that's kind of symbolic to like just the American dream. Like you're getting your name out there, you know. And sometimes to get your name out there, you got to break a couple rules because
Agreed.
you know
100%.
it's just so symbolic. You know what I mean? Damn, that's crazy, bro. I mean, I would hope that that graffiti is starting to will kind of like come back as a more accepted art form, whereas like I feel like the value, like the real estate value, goes up when there's amazing art everywhere.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
if
Like at Wynwood.
if business owners like were like, yeah, I'm cool with that, and everywhere you go, you see all this amazing artwork. Imagine what it must be like for the kids growing up in this wonderland of just amazing artwork everywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Whenever I take my kids to Wynwood, it's they love it.
word, man.
They love it. You know, most of the time the rest of the city won't allow it, mostly because of zoning and you know, most businesses get fined for having murals up. So that's why I guess they have the designated areas, you know. The only way it'll get like that if Miami becomes like New York, where it's like there's more writers than city officials, or you know, there's more writers than the city could keep up with, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's why New York is New York. That's why New York looks the way it does. They'll never clean that place up.
Every
They
now
can't
and
handle it.
every now and then, like where I'm at right now, I'm in the Mimo district, and so like, you know, I'm usually up overnight, and I'll look across the street and I'll see this one dude like with the little JanSport, you know, and he'll just kind of like reach in there and just, and I'll be like, okay, you know, it's like,
all right.
it's almost like nostalgia. I'm like, yeah, my man, good job, bro. You know, like it's kind of like seeing like a kid with headphones walking down the street and like just penning something on the
Right.
pad. Whereas now everyone's just on iPhones that have Beats by Dre's. It's just a little different, you know.
Yeah, it's a different time. That's all it is.
Yeah, but graffiti is timeless, man. I mean, look, bro. Like, are you cool to rap? Do you have anything else that you wanted to say, right quick?
Oh, I'm good, man.
Yeah. Word, man. I wish I could talk for longer, but I kind of got to do something. But cool, bro. Would you mind telling everybody that's listening where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, man. You can find me on Instagram at JunkRoxxx, JunkRoxxx, or at Junkyard Studios, JunkYardStudios.
Awesome, man. And is there anything that you're working on right now that we should be looking forward to at the moment?
Well, I'm working on a lot of collaborations with a couple different artists that I have from my shop, and also with some of my crewmates. And realistically, just prepping a little bit for Basel. I've been trying to just really find myself or reevaluate myself when it comes down to art. I'm trying a lot of new different things when it comes down to digital art, mixing that up with, you know, painting and things like that. And I'm always trying to do new things. So I'm a career artist, and you know, you always got to stay on your toes and always try to really regenerate new stuff. So
I gotta go back to I gotta go back to Junkyard Studios, man. I've been meaning to get another tattoo, but I just don't know what the hell I want to get, man. So I gotta think about it and come through.
dude, just get anything, bro. That's the way. Get anything, bro. Fuck it. Fill your
Word.
body up.
Well, with that being said, guys, this is episode 9 of Media Noche podcast. My name is Art Morera. If you haven't checked out the Transit City project, it's on all streaming platforms. All right, go check that out. We got Junk here, and we out, guys. Peace.
Medianoche.
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 Podcast.
Medianoche.
Podcast.
Medianoche.
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 Podcast.